welcome to another episode of the Destiny Truthcast. I am Lost Souls, and this is episode 26. With us today, CarnivalLaw and RedWingGirl. How are you doing today?
Real good.
Doing well, Souls, thanks.
And we have a new forum guest here today. Rorschach9182 is with us. How are you doing today, Rorschach?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing well, thank you. And if you could, just let everyone know a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm 24 years old. Been playing games as long as I can remember. Been playing Destiny since it started.
What kind of character do you play? What's your main?
Oh, I main a Titan ever since the beginning. I know it's kind of bad, but I just started making other characters.
Nothing wrong with that. Titans rock.
CL is Titan for life.
Yeah. Been with the same one since the beginning.
Well, glad to have you here today. Appreciate you joining us. And so, I guess today we can start out with the Festival of the Lost. Here again for another iteration of it. I don't know what it is this year. A little different from last year. Last year the questing, and this year the buying. But what's been everyone's experience with the festival so far?
I'm really liking it. I might have thrown some money at the screen, but I got pretty much everything that I wanted out of it. Got all the shaders and got all the armor and masks and did the quest. I think it's been fun. I always like the environment. But that poor broom girl, she's going to kill herself if we don't give her back her broom.
Yeah, that it was kind of like, kind of funny the first day or so, but by whatever day this is, really feel terrible for the poor sweeper bot. And yeah, they really need to give her back her broom. It sounds tragic.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Oh yeah, well I agree. Every time over by the postmaster, it's kind of pretty sad hearing her go on and wail about it.
So the big problem everyone's complaining about now is the sweeper scooter thing. I forget what it's called. And how we're not going to be able to keep it. I sort of have mixed feelings on it. On one hand, no one actually had to purchase it. You just had to go into that the dance room and just select it, and you ended up getting it. And I understand it's a temporary Halloween thing, so for me it's like no big deal. If we don't get to keep it, it would be kind of cool to have it, but I think for the most part, this isn't a purchase, and you didn't earn it. Like, people want to say that they earn things, they should be able to keep it. So I guess I don't have a problem with not being able to keep it. It's unfortunate that it's another item that Bungie won't let us keep, but I understand why they don't want us to keep it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, RedWingGirl, and I think that my frustration is that it does just get thrown on the pile of things that Bungie won't let us keep, which just kind of gets bigger every once in a while, and it's full of really cool stuff. But my hope is that maybe they're going to do, like in December, they'll do SRL, Sparrow Racing League, right, and maybe they will add a kiosk, to the game where maybe more sparrows will be available in SRL, and we can, keep sparrows in a kiosk and access them there. So, I mean, how cool would it be? I don't expect this from Bungie because they just tend not to. I think, they haven't done this in the past, and they just don't seem like they're thinking this way. But it would be really neat if they actually just surprised us with it. That there was a sparrow kiosk when SRL drops that's permanent. And the broom, whoever got the broom sparrow, that's sitting there waiting for them if they want to race it. Like I said, don't expect that to happen, but it would sure be a cool thing for them to do.
Well, they have holiday. They have that holiday quest or kiosk now, with all the masks and everything. I don't understand why they just don't keep it in there. Like, I don't understand. I really, when it comes down to it, I don't understand why they won't let us keep it. Like, it doesn't make any sense that they just don't let us have it. Like, is it going to break something? I mean, we're going towards the end of the life of Destiny, in this run, and why can't we just keep it? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, the only thing I can think is that they think that, Guardians riding around on a broom kind of breaks the immersion of the game. But, when you can have people wearing the skull mask and the holiday masks year round, it kind of submarines that kind of argument, in my opinion. So I don't think it's going to be something where it appears with the SRL. I think that once it's gone, it's gone. I think they could have done something with it where they did an actual sparrow with a Halloween theme, and at the end of the event, you could turn in your broom, give the broom back to the sweeper bot, and she awards you, or someone awards you with an actual sparrow with a Halloween theme to it. I think that would have been a cool workaround and solution for it.
Well, they do have that other sparrow that you get, the green one, that neon green one. You get that one from a drop. I have that one as well. So we do get a Halloween-themed sparrow to keep. We just don't get to keep the sweeper bot.
Now, is that just from the silver packages that you buy, that one? Or does that drop playing at all?
It drops from all the candy packages. If you just keep on buying candy and turning them in, you get rewards, and you get those packages. I think after you do the quest, you get a package each time you finish the quest on all 3 characters, and you have a chance of getting it in those drops. Otherwise, you can purchase it from Eververse, those packages, and then hope the RNG gives it to you.
What's been your experience with the festival, Rorschach?
Well, I haven't even completed the quest on my Titan yet. I'm going to. But as for the sweeper bot, I was kind of on the fence about it at first. I'm not even using it right now, but after seeing how many people on the forums would really like to keep it, I kind of came to the conclusion that there's really no reason why, Bungie wouldn't let us keep it. Besides, unless they want to give this, the sweeper bot back its broom, but I don't see why they couldn't just give it another one. But besides that, I haven't bought any of the packages, so I haven't really had much of an experience with it. I like the way everything looks.
Well, the quest line this time is much easier and less. It takes less time to complete it than it did last year. Last year was kind of annoying. This year it's a little bit easier to finish, so you can do all 3 characters within the time allotted. Last year I only was able to do 1. So I think I like the way that they did the quest line this time.
Yeah, I like the way they did the quest too. I'll definitely get it done.
So I just have one question about the rewards. What's up with that green shader they're giving out? Because that's like the ugliest thing that they've ever put in this game.
Have you seen the Candlelight? That one's hideous too.
No way, it's my favorite.
Yeah, the candlelight looks pretty good on the female guardians, particularly the hunter cloaks.
Well, I haven't seen it on the female, but when it's on my Titan with the Rise of Iron armor, I'm not feeling it.
So, on the subject of kind of the special events and packages and to an extent Eververse and whatnot, I know RedWingGirl that you wanted to talk about the Dusty Engrams that Saladin sells at the Iron Temple.
Yeah, so I didn't know this because I guess I just wasn't paying attention to the Engrams and the Dusty Engrams. And after Iron Banner, when they were dropping like all the the current gear, and then you had a chance to get like old gear, and then you could buy some of the old gear from them. I started to look at, because I had a bunch of that silver dust. I had like almost 300 pieces or 300 of the silver dust. So I went to Saladin and bought that dusty Engrams, and it turns out that you have an opportunity to get all of the very first Iron Banner gear, and the ones that followed it. And I really wanted the Hunter boots because I really like them, but whatever. I really liked the first year because I liked the cloak. So I had the cloak, but then I wanted to get the full set. And by buying those Engrams, I was able to get the full Hunter set of the first set that Iron Banner had brought out, which was my favorite. And I also had some of that gear in my vault that I was keeping because I liked it so much, but I couldn't wear it to do any activity. So what I ended up doing is I went and got all of the gear from that I wanted, and I got rid of all my year one stuff in my vault. So now I can actually wear it, use it. I've upgraded almost all of it to 400 so that I can actually wear it when I do a raid or go into Iron Banner next time or whatever. But I enjoy it, and which led me to another thing. So there's been so many complaints about bring back year one gear, bring back whatever. The Dusty Engram thing for me is the best thing I've seen Bungie do. And I don't know if a lot of people have taken advantage of it or even realize that you can get year one Iron Banner gear. But if they could do that for everything else, this would change everything. I would completely, because then you would have an option. It only drops at level 3. It's like the Spectre stuff, but you can, get the rolls that you want, get the stats that you want, and then you upgrade it. So you buy it, and it turns into the actual gear that you want to be able to rank up to play with. But if they did this for everything, like Vaulted Glass, Crota, whatever, all the previous year stuff that we weren't allowed to bring forward with us, it would completely change how I actually use my vault, because then I could get rid of all the year one stuff that is completely useless to me, that I only bring out when I actually want to either wear it or use it. And now I can actually wear it. And I just, there's two things that bother me about it. One is there's 5 silver light for each Dusty Engram, which I think is pretty inexpensive. The problem is the economy doesn't drop enough packages for people to accumulate enough silver dust. So I wish that they would make some adjustments on the economy and allow at least 3 packages a week, like that they had done before with the Spectre stuff, and maybe up that opportunity a little bit so that people can actually use it to buy things with, if that's how they want to use that stuff. But it's just an opportunity that I think works, and I hope that they take advantage of it. Now, having said that, now that I have this gear, I hope that when year 2 comes in, they're going to start us all over, not let us carry all that stuff forward. That's really going to bum me out, because I purchased all of that silver dust that I traded in for those Dusty Engrams. I actually bought. So I essentially bought that armor. So if I can't bring it forward with me, that's going to piss me off. So it's a double-edged sword. You can get some of this stuff, clear out your vault if you were saving some of your year 1 Iron Banner stuff, and I just think the concept is really cool, and I hope that they can build on it. But they have to make some economy changes to make it a little bit easier to get the silver dust.
So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, RedWingGirl, and I love it that we can get year 1 Iron Banner gear, because I love that gear for my Titan as well. But and this is a topic that we can choose to talk about, today at length or not. But I'm really worried that Bungie and Activision, that they're going to go on a huge cash grab for the remainder of this game, knowing that they can't expect to get much more profit out of it. I think after that, and I think we see that. So there are 3 different sort of mechanisms right now that are working in the same way. That kind of if you want the roles you want or the masks you want or whatever it might be, that you're still subjected to RNG with your real money purchases, and that's very much obviously planned on Bungie's part, and the masks were like that. There wasn't a real efficient way to farm for masks, and so people who could afford to just buy a bunch could finish things faster in Festival of the Lost, have a greater chance of getting the blue flaming skull. I think Souls, you and I have talked about this before, that the stuff that we buy with our real money really shouldn't be RNG. That's got to be awfully close to online gaming, but or gambling, I mean. And then same with this Iron Banner gear. Yeah, you can purchase that silver dust or the ornaments, and then you break them down for silver dust or whatever. But you get that silver dust with real money. You then purchase these dusty engrams, and it's RNG rolls. So you might have to do it a bunch of times. Like I was super excited when I first saw that dusty engrams decoded into Year 1 Titan Iron Banner gear. But then when I realized I had no control over the rolls, and the only way I could really put together a set that I would actually wear an Iron Banner that would have the intellect discipline stats that I'm looking for and stuff, would be that I'd have to spend a lot of money to get to probably get lucky enough to get a full set of gear with the rolls I want. And it really worries me that Bungie's going that direction, has already gone that direction. I think we'll see it during SRL and maybe a few other things before Destiny 2 comes out, rather than, like you were saying, Red Wing, they need to improve their in-game economy, the drop of radiant treasures, treasure boxes, and stuff like that. But I don't think they're going to, because they're going to try to make as much money between now and Destiny 2 as possible. Wonk wonk.
Yeah, I don't understand why they reduced your ability from the sterling boxes to the radiant. I mean, granted, I am sitting on a lot of chroma and things of that sort, and I can't exchange that for anything. But the benefit of getting the ornaments is that I can turn them into the silver dust, which then I can buy things with. If you could do that with the chroma, that would be cool. So that didn't produce any anything for me on that front. But they prevent people from engaging in their economy by reducing the chances of getting it. Now, I don't understand why, everything has to be purchased. I mean, there's enough opportunity that people won't take advantage of or not buy. There will always be the people that will buy the packages. But then for the other people that can't afford it or don't want to because they feel like it's bad business to have such a big purchase power, by forcing people to buy packages. It's just, it doesn't give anybody, there's no good side to it. There's no, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't make the game any better. And it just puts Bungie in a bad light. And I just think this is a missed opportunity. More people would play the game and stick with it and do the grind if they knew at the end of the grind that they were going to get some kind of reward that they would at least have control over. There really isn't anything in this game that you have any control over. All of the weapons, all of the armor, everything is RNG. And like, for example, there's no point in grinding for the Vanguard or your individual factions, because everything caps out at 390 or 385. And for those of us that are past that, now all that's left is the raid or trials, or Crucible. You can do Crucible and get weapons, but there's no point in any of the factions anymore. They've made them all irrelevant. And further to the irrelevancy, they eliminated the even reason to get an exotic mark from them, because now they drop the legendaries that look just the same. So I don't I don't understand why they've sort of halted the progression. They've halted the progression by putting all these caps on things. I don't get it. Like, what's the point?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a game about playtime, and people play it, and it goes back to the beginning of this game, and not just with now the fact that, like you said, after 390 the factions are irrelevant, marks are irrelevant. Yeah, some people are going to keep trying to get their god roll weapons or whatever, but I mean, if you've got the weapons you love, and then there's literally no reason to run a bounty. There's literally no reason to do a patrol. There's no reason to go to a faction vendor. There's no reason to spend marks. There's no reason to spend glimmer. And is there impetus for that they don't want us leveling too fast? So okay, the factions, we're going to cap them at 90 because people are going to level up too fast. Well, if that's the case, then all we're going to do is we're up until hard mode released, you could get the drops at 385 from the factions. So there was a reason to always go there, because if nothing else, it's a fully leveled infusion fuel. If they're trying to keep us from leveling up too fast, I'm just spending my marks on the materials at the Vanguard vendor. I'm spending my glimmer on heavy ammo and weapon parts and armor parts that I have who the fuck knows how many of now, that whenever the light level goes up again, I'm going to have so much shit saved up that I'm going to immediately rank up. So, you can delay my leveling now, but I'm just buying shit to speed it up later, or you take that all away from us and put in a new economy. I just don't understand it. You want people to play the game, let them play the game. And the constant roadblocks to people actually going in and playing and limiting the amount of time people can spend playing just boggles my mind.
Well, I mean, not everybody gets on and play as much as we do. So, it's still relevant for most casual players that want to just gradually, faction packages and rep boosters and all that stuff still is good. I mean, it's good for the progression, but then once you reach that limit, there isn't anything after but the raid. And speaking of the raid, I have a level 400 and 2 399 characters. And that's all RNG. If it's like I just need the one piece on each character. But here's the thing that really bothers me: there's end game for the PvP players and there's end game for the PvE players. When I'm in the tower and I see ornaments on PvP players that made it to the lighthouse and were able to get ornaments, and me, who have finished the raid several times, don't have ornaments, that kind of pisses me off. It's a little lopsided. Like, why can't I open up the chest and get an ornament to apply to my hard raid set that I have on? Like, why are we being held back, but the lighthouse players can get their ornaments whenever they go to the lighthouse? That, to me, is not really fair.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, we know the answer to that. The answer is the trials is the baby of the streamer crowd, and the streamers are what give Destiny all their free publicity and free advertising. So they're going to take care of them first and foremost, which they've shown repeatedly. Not only with that, but in balancing the game to cater to a handful of people that want to dictate how we all play as they stream their games. So I don't know. I think that's the impetus there.
Well, apparently it's easy to get to the lighthouse because the forums are littered with proof that people are DDoSing and getting and paying to get those carries to the lighthouse. So, what skill is involved in that process when, if that's all you have to do to get there? There's no DDoSing anybody in the raid. You actually have to get through it, although this raid is, it's not very difficult. But the point is that you actually have to do the work to get there. And in the case of trials, apparently you don't. You can just screw people over, get to the lighthouse in record time, and get all the benefits and with some cash. And I just, I don't know. I just don't get it.
I don't know. I heard a rumor once that there was DDoSing in the raid, but maybe that was just something I thought I heard. So, Rorschach, how do you play, and what first of all, what light level have you achieved right now, and what are the avenues that you take when leveling up? Are you raiding? Are you doing strikes? What are you doing as you level?
Well, as of right now, I'm 394 light. I've been doing a lot of the Archon Forge to get the ghosts and the artifacts to drop, which was really nice because those go up to 400 now. But as for the raid, I have not done the new raid yet. I've only actually completed Oryx once and Crota once. I never finished Vault of Glass. I've always been kind of more of a solo player when it comes to Destiny. All games, really. I have a few friends I play with, but not enough to really raid. So, yeah, I'll grind strikes. I'll try to get exotic engrams to drop, but, that's RNG, and you have no control over, whether it's... You can't go to a certain boss and hope that you're going to get, an exotic for boots or arms, or... and that's always been something that kind of bothered me. I've been trying to use skeleton keys, but the drop rate on those is pretty crazy, so that's really been my avenues of leveling up as of lately, is just skeleton keys, exotic engrams, some Crucible. I'm not really a big Crucible player, though. PvP was never really my favorite activity in this game. In my opinion, it's just, it kind of screams of unbalance, but that's just my opinion. But that's really all I've been doing.
Well, you brought up something interesting there in the skeleton keys and the exotic engrams. I'm going to backtrack for a minute because this is something that I had a lot of discussions with in the last... We did do a podcast last Sunday, but in the last week and a half over the whole fact that factions cap at 390 now, and a lot of my back and forth with people was over the fact that, a lot of players say that, well, to get max light level in this game, you should have to play endgame activities. But with that being the case, you can do the Archon Forge and get level 400 drops from blues. You can do trials and never get a kill, never win a match. You can go jump off a map repeatedly, game after game after game, and you can get level 400 armor drops. You can do the skeleton keys, you can do the exotic engrams. None of this is end game activities. The one thing that kind of I would consider outside of the raid an end game activity is the trials bounties, because you actually have to play the game and actually try to compete, and you actually have to win and get kills and whatnot. And those that you actually have to play the game only drop at 390, so it's kind of fucked up. But going to the skeleton keys, Bungie really needs to up the drop rates on them. I know that RedWingGirl, you've been playing, and a lot of strikes trying to get them, and your experience hasn't been all that great with trying to get the skeleton keys.
Yeah, so I figured out if you do the easy strikes and just pop 3 coins, you have a higher chance to get not only the exotic from it at the end, but the keys drop more. The heroic strikes are ridiculous. I don't think I've gotten 1 key from the heroic strikes, but from the easier strikes, they seem to drop quite frequently. So, there's no point in doing heroic strikes because you don't get a reward. Now that they've pulled the rewards and require you to get a treasure key, you don't get it. So you might as well just play the easy strikes, pop a 3 coin. You have a higher chance of getting a key. Just stock up on your keys, and then maybe go do a heroic strike and get open up a chest of the preferred thing that you want to get, whether it's for infusion fuel or if you want to get a gun, grasp or something, then maybe just do that 1 strike. But there's really no point in doing heroic strikes anymore. I don't see any benefit in it because it doesn't drop anything. Nightfalls are no different. Nightfalls have become a joke amongst everyone because the chances of you getting anything significant or a decent reward for finishing it is so bad. You have a higher chance to get 3 coins or strange coins than you do an actual exotic or a level 400 item. And really, the Nightfalls should drop keys automatically for each character that you do. It should give you a key, no matter what.
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad you said that because I was actually going to reference a post by Fernando0396, and they actually said exactly that. Make a guaranteed skeleton key drop after completing the first Nightfall strike of the week. And when I read that earlier, just like you said now, why wouldn't Bungie do that? And the Nightfall rewards are, once again, I made a joke about it to someone. I remember the good old days when the complaints were about getting Ascendant shards. But I mean, they've always been a joke for some of the shit that you can get on the Nightfall drops. But and then for them to not only do that, but it extends to the weekly Crucible bounty. I was late in the game completing the mountaintop, but I completed it, obviously with you just before the end of the Taken King. And so the first couple weeklies I did, I got exotic drops from it, and I thought that was the rewards. But I didn't realize that it's just from the Nightfall pool. And doing the last one I did, I got, like eight strange coins or something. And for doing a bounty like that, a weekly involved in-depth bounty to get strange coins, it's like, what's the point? Why do it? And like you said, it's just one more thing with the heroic strikes. What's the point? The leveling the factions past 390. What's the point? The weekly Crucible bounty. What's the point? And none of it has to be like that. Bungie could make all these activities worthwhile, and it wouldn't have any effect on the competitiveness of this game, the balance. It would just make it enjoyable for people and let people do shit they wanted to do and feel rewarded for doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the more I think about the treasure keys, the more I'm convinced that the motivation to create the treasure keys wasn't so that you felt like you were guaranteed a reward when you opened them, because you're not guaranteed everything that one boss might have dropped. I just think it's a way for them to stop people from farming whatever it is that they wanted. Like with Omnigul, I must have gotten 30 grasp of Malix, and then I was able to go through and pick 3 that I wanted to keep for the sake of, deducting, getting rid of all the rest of them. And they don't want you to do that anymore. They don't want you to farm things, so it eliminates people from doing that because you no longer are going to get those drops. And I just think it ticked him off. So it's not about, I don't think that they see it as people want to feel rewarded when they do this farming kind of thing, or when they want to try to like rank up and do. They don't want people to do that. They don't want people to hold on to stuff. They don't want people to try to, get the most that they can get with the time that they play, whether it's a small amount of time or not. They want people to struggle. And the frustration with struggling forces people into the purchase power that they want people to do. It drives them to out of frustration to buy the packages so that they get the scooter or the wolf mask or whatever else. And it's suppression. And I don't understand why they don't see it that way. Why they don't want people to feel, like they're getting something out of their playtime. I don't understand it.
Oh, so I agree with you completely about the skeleton keys. As soon as they announced, skeleton keys were coming out, the first thing I thought was, okay, wow, just another avenue being taken out of the game. Now it's not only do I have to complete the strike, but I have to hope for the skeleton key, and then I have to hope that I get whichever. I don't get the bond from Omnigul, but I get the Malik instead. Because going back to that, with the drops on the strike bosses back before the horde chests, there were certain bosses that I would always get drops from, like Valis Tarak. I would get a lot of the Treads Upon the Stars, and I would get a lot of Mago Loops, but then Omnigul, I didn't get a single Grasp of Malik up until the skeleton keys came out. So I didn't farm her when it was a Nightfall. So it's kind of like a hit or miss with me, but I agree it is just another avenue being taken out, and it's adding more RNG on top of what's already there,
I'll ask you this too, Rorschach. What is your success rate with 3 of Coins when you use them?
Lately, not so good. Maybe, this would just be a blind guess because I haven't really sat down and thought about it, but maybe 1 out of every 10 in the Crucible, because I will play sometimes. It's been really bad because I remember I used to have a lot better chances. Maybe that's because Crucible matches are faster, so it feels like you're getting better chances. But I've been having really low drop rates, I suppose, on both Crucible and strikes.
Yeah, I went and was farming 3 of Coins on the Dreadnought, the hidden hive boss there on the Cabal ship, probably a week and a half ago or so, and I was getting one about every. I think I ended up actually doing 24 3 of Coins, and I got 3 drops. So, 1 every 8. Playing the Crucible since, it's been much worse than that. And I know Carnival, you are Mr. 1 in every 5 on your research, but you definitely seem to be the exception and not the rule, because I know RedWingGirl, you were doing a lot of 3 of Coins in PvP, and your success rate was nowhere near his 1 in 5 on the drops.
Yeah, mine is like 1 every 25.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. That's just I am sorry. And I know that I'm on the lower or the higher, however you want to say it, end of the spectrum. But Rorschach, they're referring, Souls and Redwing are referring to, this was actually before the Taken King dropped, or I'm sorry, before Rise of Iron dropped. I just asked in the forums and what people were getting as their 3 of Coins drop rates in PvP and PvE, and we had a lot of people. I did, I think, something like 300 3 of Coins and kept track of how many drops I got. I did 100 100 in, I think, PvE and like 200 in PvP over the course of like a month or two or something. And a lot of other people contributed their drop rates, and that difference that you noted when you were talking a second ago, that you were getting better drops or more higher drop rates, reward rates of 3 of coins in PvP versus PvE is real. That was across the board. People were finding that they got higher drop rates in PvP, and it's not just because of the shorter that matches tend to be shorter than strikes. It's just per match your chances just seem higher, and the average in PvP back then was about 1 in 6, and in PvE it was like 1 in 8, 1 in 9, somewhere between 8 and 9. So that seemed very real, even on like a statistical level, because our sample size was really large. But yeah, 1 in 25 Red Wing, that's brutal. I don't, because I rely on 3 of coins actually to get my light level up, and I'm still, averaging around about every 5 matches that I pop a 3 of coins, I get an exotic. But I know I'm on the low end of that spectrum. But still, 1 in 25. I'm sorry, because they can be a really effective way for some people to level up.
And the other thing that really sucks about the 3 of coins is, for all the farming in the last 2 weeks, since getting past 390 and losing the faction avenue, I've gotten raid drops, but can't seem to get outside of my hunter chest to drop. Got two freaking machine guns the other day on our last run of the week. But I've gotten 4 exotic engrams from 3 of coins in the last 2 weeks. The 3 from farming on the Dreadnought, and I got a exotic helm yesterday, and none of them, not one of the 4, has decrypted into an up for me, and that's really frustrating. The helm I got on my hunter, and my hunter is 399, and the only piece I need to get to 400 was the helm, and I'm sitting at 399, and I decrypt it, and it decrypts at 399, and it's like, what the fuck, it's, you sit there and you farm and you do all this shit, and you're gonna decrypt my exotic at my light level when it's, I don't know, it's whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I find the 3 of coins and the exotic engrams very frustrating.
That's been happening a lot to me too. The exotic engrams are only dropping like right at whatever it is. Say it's like boots, it will drop at whatever that light is, and that has been really annoying. And right now, I need a chest to drop, a chest exotic engram, so I can keep, moving on up. And of course, everything but a chest will drop for me, and it gets really frustrating. I wish there was some sort of a way to guarantee, like, whether it be certain bosses drop certain types of engrams only, or I just wish there was some sort of guaranteed way to get a certain piece of armor or weapon, the strike weapons, but sort of like that.
Well, it's funny because from year 1 to year 2 to now year 3, they really drastically increased our ability to get legendaries in this game. I mean, back in vanilla, it was like pulling teeth to try to get a legendary. You would get your legendary engrams, you'd take them to the Cryptarch, and he would take that freaking purple engram and he'd give you a blue turd for it. And it was almost impossible to get a legendary from a legendary engram. So, with the legendaries now they're like passing out candy. You get legendaries all the time. But it seems like they've gone backwards with the exotics. It just seemed like in year 1 of this game, and up until they came out with the 3 of coins, that you had a pretty decent chance of getting one through a nightfall or through drops, here and there. And it just seems like it's just so backwards with how they've done that with the exotics.
I do. I agree with that completely. Like you said, year one, you would sit in front of the loot cave, and farm, and you would finally get a legendary to drop, and it would turn to they would give you a blue. And now, like you said, just legendaries drop like candy. And exotics are becoming fewer and far between. But the only problem I have with that is a lot of the legendary weapons are actually more effective than exotic weapons at this point. So, I don't know. I think I've just always thought there needs to be some sort of a change to exotics altogether. Give them some sort of... They used to just feel a lot more special than they do now, and I would like to see that come back.
How often do you use the Galahorn?
I have it on right now.
See, for me, the Galahorn lost its specialness, if that's even a word, when they nerfed it into the ground, and I don't even think the gun even works half as good as it used to, and it certainly doesn't hold a candle to any of the swords. I mean, you can beat the hard raid now with the Void Sword, and the Galahorn doesn't nearly do as much damage. So they've diminished not only the best exotic weapon in the game, but there's nothing special about it anymore. It's really unfortunate.
But those swords, bossy.
Well, you know what's going to happen, because this is just the trend that Bungie does. They probably didn't intend for the Dark Drinker to take down the end boss in the raid. And I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a nerf. They're probably going to reduce the amount of ammunition that you can carry on them. So they'll be like, maybe you'll get 30 instead of 80 or 81 or 101, depending if you're wearing those Warlock boots. And they're just going to reduce it so that people have to go back to the standard weaponry that they probably intended people to use, which was, maybe the sleeper and then galley. So it just takes longer, but you could just see the writing on the wall. The swords are like the last thing that really can go in, and you get a lot more ammo than you do in any of those other things. I mean, the Galahorn used to be able to get up to like 7 or 9 or something at one point at its highest with the right armor loadout, and now you get 5. It's just not even worth it.
Yeah, I would agree that's probably going to be the end result. I would hope it's not, because again, it's something where you actually feel powerful in this game, and every time we get to where we feel powerful, and actually feel like we're fucking badass, they want to knock us down a peg. But how can they not anticipate that that's going to be used in the raid? That's just poor planning. If they didn't see that coming, poor testing. Because I wasn't using Dark Drinker, but I was trying out the Raise Lighter, on the boss when we first ran it, because he's just fucking standing there. So, and like I said, I mean, how they didn't anticipate it, I just don't understand. It's on them to be better in their design, just like it's on them to be better with map design, to make maps play more evenly and more fairly. I don't know. And talking the whole balancing, I want to go to something Orpheus asked and wanted us to talk about, and he wanted us to discuss shotguns because they're obviously a hot topic on the forums. And he said not necessarily the balance of them, but how we in particular handle them, counter them, and deal with them.
So I might take a stab at that. I'm a day one shotgunner. I just love close quarters combat. I like using a shotgun. I don't like blink, so I've never been a blink shotgunner. I don't slide in shotgun. I grew up hunting, hunting and fishing in eastern Washington, and a shotgun is one of my favorite weapons in the field. I just really like the feel of shotguns, and so maybe I use tactics that aren't that not a lot of other people would use. I think about where the other players are going to be. Rather than camping, I try to just beat them to a point and surprise them. I oftentimes will try to look when I have the opportunity to look at larger areas of the map and try to spot people, darting left or right and come in behind them. So I tend to chase a fair amount and try to surprise that way. I don't find, maybe it's because I use a shotgun, I don't find shotguns hard to counter, but I also accept it when I die to one. If I have no problem with people who camp with shotguns. They're in the fight. They're right there, in it. They're just hiding behind a strategic corner. And if I run around that corner without kind of checking it first, either with a grenade or peeking around or something, and I get shot by someone who's sitting there, with a shotgun and they blow my head off, that's on me, and that's fine. I'm not sure why people always get frustrated with that. If you run into a broom around a corner and die from a shotgunner who's sitting there waiting for you, more power to him or her, that seems to me. But so anyway, that's kind of my strategy with shotguns. I know Orpheus is a great PvP player, so I'd actually be curious to hear how he runs them too. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Well, I can kind of add something. As somebody who, I'm not very good at Destiny's PvP. But when I do play, I use a shotgun. I always have. I don't know if I've ever even used a sniper in the Crucible. I'll use fusion rifles sometimes. But as for shotguns, I feel like I can sort of rush on enemies, and I don't have to, kind of sit back and go head to head against some of the better players. I can rush right in there. I can get kills, and they help me out a lot. I use, I got a good Matador, so I've been using that when I play, and they tend to just help me a lot as somebody who isn't as good in the Crucible. Now, there is a skill gap with shotguns. Some people don't like to say there is, on the forums, but there is, because if I go up against somebody who's much better than me with a shotgun, they're going to win 10 out of 10 times. They're just going to. As for countering them, I've seen a lot of people say the Trespasser. I'm not too sure. I've tried it a couple times. I'm not very good with it, but that's really my 2 cents on them.
Well, a long time ago, after Prison of Elders, they nerfed the shotguns pretty severely. And that was before I actually played PvP, and I always used fell winners. And I just, the shotguns were different back then, and I used to actually know how to use them in PvE. But they changed them to the point where they nerfed them so much that you practically have to be on top of somebody to actually do it. And really what it comes down to is reaction time. There's other factors involved too. If you have a God roll shotgun, you do have some benefits because you may have more range than the other person, and so you're going to lose the shotgun battle with range. But if you have a faster reaction time than the other player, or if there's any lag involved at all, which we all know is a ongoing issue when you play PvP, then there's always going to seem like there's the balance is going to be off. But for me, I cannot wield a shotgun in PvP to save my life. I just can't. I don't have the fast reaction time that most players have, so I'm no good at it. But I'm good at fusions, and so I can counter a shotgunner with a fusion almost every time, as long as I have the advantage of range. And in some cases, as they're closing on to me, if I can't fire off another one, I already know that I've lost the battle. So, it's just the type of weapon that you like to use. I think the sidearms are another great alternative. Besides the Trespasser, there are a lot of good sidearms that do counter the shotguns because you have the benefit of range and fast firing. And if you can peck it off before they get into their shotgun range, then you'll win the battle. But I just think people get frustrated because there's a lot of red bars. There's still red bars in this game, and I still don't understand how these people are actually able to be in a game without either, dropping out or, being pooled together with other red bars, or I don't really understand it, but I just think it comes down to reaction times. And a lot of people think that they've gotten the kill, but they didn't. The other person fired it off faster than they did.
And I just wanted to add, too, that Bungie is certainly making shotguns easy to vilify with Rise of Iron, because we have the Supremacy Iron Banner got people all bent out of shape about shotguns, and then Trials No Radar. I saw this last weekend. I saw somebody posted today after they looked at the Trials report that 83% of the kills, I think, that they reported are from shotguns. So, I mean, if you wanted to create a firestorm against a shot of anti-shotgun posts in the forums, that's the way to do it. Supremacy, Iron Banner, and a no radar Trials.
Yeah, I saw people complaining about that. I think, I don't understand what the complaint is. I mean, the radar thing is to me is not that big of a deal. It just makes the challenge all the more. The revives, I can see why that might be a little annoying, but it's a 1 week thing, and I think that they should probably do something like that every week, would be kind of interesting, we've always said that it would be interesting if you could only have like certain weapons that you were required to use, like auto rifles and a shotgun and, maybe no heavy or something like that, or make it, switch it up, actually see what people's skill levels are with those different switch ups.
To touch on both of those, what you both just said, and in Orpheus's comment, shotguns to me, I get annoyed when I can't trade a kill with them with a fusion rifle because of bolt despawn, but that's whatever. But to me, shotguns have always been shotguns in PvP. I never had a big problem with the whole Fellwinter's generation when it quote-unquote ruled the roost. Just because fusions were a lot more consistent back then. As far as countering, pretty much in line with what you said, RedWingGirl. If I have the distance, then I can counter with a fusion. I guess if I had any issue with shotguns, it would just be not with the shotguns themselves, but with fusion rifles, because I know if I'm in close with someone, I can fire fusion, and because of, again, the lag has a huge effect on fusions and not really apparently on shotguns, but bolts can miss, bolts have travel time. I can shoot someone with a fusion rifle and they can have just a smidge of health left, like almost absolutely nothing. I don't remember ever once in this game being shot with a shotgun and having that smidge of health left. It's a kill every time. And again, you can't get off that second shot with the fusion, where the shotguns, you can get off 3 shots before you can get off 2 with the fusion. So I still don't really have a problem with shotguns. I'm more happy as shit that everyone isn't sniping anymore, like they were in the Taken King, because that was the most obnoxious and worst meta ever, when everyone was just using sniper rifles everywhere. So shotguns didn't bother me in Supremacy. They don't really bother me in the Crucible now. But I still have nothing to say about people who snipe, even though they're not sniping as much. And then so the other thing would be all the posts about trials and the no radar and no revives. And I agree with you, RedWingGirl, that it should be something that they do more often because it mixes it up. But I see a lot of people saying, well, everyone's just in a camp with shotguns and yada yada. And yeah, okay, so Carnival, you said that whatever the statistics show that 80% of whatever are shotguns because everyone's running around with them. But the thing is that everyone's using them, but I don't honestly think that it makes it easier. To me, it's always been the opposite with Inferno game modes, that it actually makes shotguns easier to counter because they don't have that radar, they don't have the anticipation of watching you come around a corner, to slide shotgun you around a corner, to be sitting there ready to shoot when you come around the corner. To me, it seems that when you don't have that radar, it gives the advantage to the player who is attacking and not the player who's camping. Because if you're camping around a corner, you have no idea when someone's rounding it. Whereas if I'm getting ready to round a corner and anticipating that someone's there, I can have a grenade or whatever. I have that anticipation that you're going to be there, and I know when I'm rounding the corner, and you don't know when I'm going to appear. So I don't really get all the complaints, because again, everyone's playing by the same rules. No one has a radar, no one's reviving, so it's not breaking any balance of the game. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone, maybe, but I don't see any negativity to what Bungie did at all.
It'd be really interesting to see a stat from this weekend's trials to see how many people who had never been to the lighthouse before made it to the lighthouse this weekend, because having no radar, and it does favor just a totally different play style than I think the real trials badasses, and certainly the carriers, the guys who offer to carry, tend to play, and so I think on some level it leveled the playing field that way to let it's kind of the non-top tier gave the non-top tier players a better chance at beating top tier players. Just you take that radar away, and it's a leveler, I think. So it'd be really cool to see the stats, to see how many people who usually make it to the lighthouse didn't, and how many people who made it to the lighthouse for the first time made it this weekend. And if we see that a lot of new folks made it to the lighthouse this weekend, I would hope that Bungie would use that and say, that's cool, that's really neat. So let's, kind of like you were saying, Red Wing, let's do this more often. Let's change things up a lot, more often, so that not the same people are using the same tactics every single week.
So another topic that was kind of all over feedback in the last couple days has been auto rifles and the magazine size on the low rate of fire, which I actually saw like 4 different people post about it, and each one made my day reading it. One of them was from B2 Bomber G. Does not bow, needs more bullets. I love this auto rifle, stats are awesome, love the look, but 22 rounds in a magazine. What is this, a scout rifle? Make it 27 to 30 with extended mag, then I'll be happy. And I could not agree with these posts more. I've said it for a while that the issue with the low rate of fire, high impact auto rifles is not damage, but the fact that they have these shitty magazines. And just happy to see these posts and hope that Bungie notices and reads them. What changed from vanilla Destiny auto rifles to Rise of Iron and this time in between was the fact that in vanilla, an auto rifle like Suros and some legendaries, if you got the range perks, an auto rifle in vanilla Destiny had the range of a scout rifle, and you could get the range and the accuracy of a scout with an AR. And what Bungie did was they didn't just nerf the damage on auto rifles, they drastically reduced the range effectiveness and brought them into what they wanted the effective range to be, which was more a close to short mid-range weapon. And what that did is when they did that, they didn't do anything else to counter and kind of give them any kind of add anything to it for what they were taking away. And so that's when you saw weapons, like the bullet hoses, the doctrines really excelled and shined, because all of a sudden they are able to mow people down, and the low rate of fire couldn't really get the kills. Well, an AR is a sustained fire weapon, and so when you take away that range of the low rate of fire, high impact, it really exposed those 22, 24, 26 round magazines, because suddenly you don't have that sustained fire, and if you miss, which auto rifles tend to miss a lot of bullets, then you're at a reload too quickly and you're dead from whoever you're fighting. And the bullet hoses, they're sitting there with 45, 55, some 60 round magazines, and so they're able to compensate for the shots that they miss, and they can not only mow down a player that's shooting at them when they reload, but they can sustain that fire for multiple kills. But you just cannot compete with a 22 round magazine on a weapon that's designed to be a spray and pray type weapon.
Yeah, that's a sound analysis, Souls. I wonder what the difference is between if you just hold the trigger down. Somebody may have already done this comparison, but if you just hold the trigger down while you've got a doctrine equipped, for example, and then just hold the trigger down when you've got a Suros regime equipped, for example, I wonder if they get through their magazines in about the same amount of time and get to reload. I guess is my question. I've never seen anybody look into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the times of the rate of fire, but like I said, with the bullet hoses, you have that sustained and the ability to you can get 2 kills out of a single magazine with a doctrine, and that's not happening with a 22 round magazine.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I agree.
I don't use auto rifles. I think they're weak, except for maybe the doctrine.
Well, it's funny, but I know you don't use them, but I remember playing and you getting a drop, and this was in Taken King we were playing, and it may have even been Does Not Bow that dropped for you, and you equipped it and you shot it and you kind of liked it, and then you used it a little more, and then you're like, well, it doesn't have enough bullets. And how's it only have whatever the magazine size was? And then that was actually your analysis of it, and I don't know if you remember that or not, but yeah, you got one and you tried it and you're like, it has to reload too quickly. and that's 100% the issue with them. And I wonder if it had been different, and if that high impact had a 36 40 round magazine instead of the 22 or whatever it had when you tried it out, if it would have altered your opinion of using it at all at that time.
Well, you used to use the Doctrine in the Taken King, I think, and you used to run out of bullets all the time. And I just don't, I don't like the bullet hoses. I just think you're right. They run out of bullets too fast. You have to reload too fast. And, if you're not really good at doing headshots with auto rifles, you're going to run out of bullets pretty quickly. So, I don't know. I really just don't use auto rifles. I'm a pulse user.
And what's your favorite pulse in the game at the moment?
Well, I really like the raid pulse, and I really like I still like the grasp.
And
or as I call it, the funky steel medulla.
That's right, the funky steel medulla. Rorschach, what weapon primary do you tend to run? What's your go-to?
Right now, I've been using a lot of scout rifles. That's what I tend to use. I'm using a Cryptic Dragon right now. It rolled similarly to the old the Dead Orbit hung jury. So I've been using that over the hung jury, just kind of trying to switch things up. I got kind of sick of using the hung jury all the time. I'll also, in PvE, I'll use the Hopscotch Pilgrim with Headseeker and full auto. That's a lot of fun to run around with.
So Rorschach, we're both Titan main scout rifle users. I got a great roll on a Cryptic Dragon, and it's been my favorite gun since ROI Rise of Iron dropped. Been having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, me too. I absolutely love it.
I cannot get one to drop. I was so freaking excited because I've said before, my biggest regret of getting rid of something was my very first legendary that ever dropped in Destiny was a Cryptic Dragon with explosive rounds, amazing stability, and I believe extended magazine, if I remember correctly, and it was just incredible. And when it didn't ascend, when the Dark Below came out, I started using Beeline Trauma, and so I dismantled it for materials to rank up, and I've always regretted it. And so when they brought it back, I've been excited, but I just cannot get one to drop. It just will not drop for me, and it saddens me. So we are at the point in the episode where we discuss our favorite things we've done in the last week or so of playing this game. And so Rorschach, if you could, what's been your favorite thing in the last week or so playing Destiny?
Honestly, like I said, I've been grinding a lot of Archon Forge, and I got the full Titan armor set. I finally got the booster drop, and that would probably be my favorite moment so far over the past week. And being able to get Ghost to drop more frequently. A decent level. I got mine up to 398. So that was also a good moment this week.
And what about you, CarnivalLaw?
So Destiny-wise, I think my best moment was, and I know you can say what you want about KD ratio, but Destiny's PvP was really my first PvP first-person shooter experience. A little bit of Titanfall before that, but had never played anything else like Plants vs Zombies, Garden Warfare, And so anyway, I got my ass handed to me forever in PvP and had a sub 1 KD for friggin' ever, and my KD hit 1.3 on my Titan this week, so I was just pretty pretty happy about that. I'm getting better. And then outside of Destiny, I bought Battlefield 1 and just wanted to just say it. It's a great game, and it's really fun to play thinking about it compared to Destiny and Destiny's PvP and just some of the things that I'm really hopeful for Destiny 2, that Bungie hopefully has taken some notes on some of the great games that have come out in the last year, because they could make that Destiny 2 practically perfect.
It's funny you say the PvP, because as much as I've not really enjoyed PvP in year 2 like I used to in year 1 of this game, I really just loved PvP, and I go the opposite on my KD. I used to be a 1.6 in year 1, and I've dropped down to like a 1 in year 2. I think my favorite moment was PvPing yesterday, and we were running Rift, we were running Control, Clash, did Combined Arms, Supremacy, and it was just really fun. I know Redwing will say that she isn't very good at PvP on here. She's made the comment, but she's fucking amazing at Rift, and so running Rift with RedWingGirl is really a cool experience, because she is sitting there, ready when the Rift spawns, and just has an ability to get it and score in that game. That's really almost unnatural how good she is at it. But playing that and playing Supremacy and all those games, we just had such a good team, such teamwork, that it was really a fun time, and probably the most fun I've had PvPing in Destiny in probably over a year. So but RedWingGirl, I saved you for last to see if maybe you had a good experience that you'd like to share with us this week, because I know you've deferred the last few episodes.
Yes, well, I will be happy to announce that I've made it to the top of this stupid mountain several times now. It's quite an accomplishment, but I finally did it, and I've been able to do it on my Titan, which I didn't think I'd be able to, but I did it on my Hunter a couple times. And so yes, I'm very, very happy that I finally got up this dumb mountain. I figured out what I have to do, what I was doing wrong, and everything else. So that's a big accomplishment for me, definitely.
Congratulations, that's awesome. And not only has she gotten up this mountain, but now we're actually sitting here climbing the mountain now as we record this. And as I go up this thing, she'll just go bounding past me like I'm not there, and she'll be up at the top just waiting for me, like, what the fuck's going on? Where you at? So she has conquered the mountain, and I think it's awesome, and I'm glad you did it, and congratulations on that.
Yeah, that was a real bummer. I just kept thinking, if I can't get up this mountain and get that stupid fragment, and how am I going to collect all the fragments? And it's probably going to be a triumph thing, and I'm not going to have all the fragments, and I was going to get so frustrated. But I just strapped on the Mida, put up all my agility, and I was able to do it, so thank God.
Well, congrats, seriously, because those jump physics on that mountain, always bouncing off the rocks and everything, that's a real pain in the ass to get up there.
Yeah, that's the worst.
The only thing that's missing on the mountain is the ability to actually target with that box that's up at the top, because I just always want to knock that box off and see it bounce off someone on the way down.
That would be pretty cool.
They really, I wish, if you've been to the other side, like if you do that flame thing and you jump to the other side and there's all those like little buildings and stuff, and you can go past and you can start to climb all the trails and mountains over on the other side. I really wish that they would make just this whole area so that you can climb the whole area or go like all over the place, because that's one thing, because they have such nice scenery and views, and you can look out, and you want to climb on top of a mountain, but they restrict you. And I really wish that, I hope in D2 they they allow you to be able to do a lot more climbing and stuff like that. Because this has been kind of interesting. As frustrating as it is, it's still challenging. And if you don't feel like doing a strike or something, this is still a game thing. It's still fun to do sometimes if you don't want to do anything like shoot a gun. But I hope they do more stuff like this.
I agree completely, and I just got completely boned when I fell off the mountain there, and it spawned me all the way at the bottom. So I hate you, Bungie. I now hate you.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that really is just so frustrating.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. RedWingGirl and CarnivalLaw, as always. Appreciate you both being on. Thank you very much. And Rorschach, really appreciate you coming on today. It's been great having you on. Thank you all for being here. And those of you listening and participating on the forums, as always, love hearing your takes on the episodes and the game in the forum posts in the comments. And if you are interested in joining us here and talking with us on the podcast, let us know, because we want to have you on and want to hear your thoughts on the game. So hope everyone has a great evening and rest of the day, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, and happy Halloween.
Boo.
Hello and welcome to a... Oh, you just fucked it all up. You just fucked it all up.
Totally the wrong time. I'm sorry. I was gonna tell you need to garnish your wages. Boo.